All right, good morning, traders. Today is September 23rd, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Hey, thank you, everybody. Podcast land, digital land, cyber land, everybody out there. Thank you for following my content, subscribing to my content, for liking my content, for leaving kind words. And a special shout out to John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy Sarah Roasted. Thank you for sharing my content, helping get the good word out there to the rest of the world. Thank you so much. All right, so let's go take a peek at, before I get going, let's take a look at some announcements. By the way, today we have a Road to Wealth workshop run by Rick Sadler. He's the founder of Hit and Run Candlesticks. Okay, we are a subsidiary of Hit and Run Candlesticks. We are the day trading service. He is going to have a Road to Wealth workshop today. Starts at 8:45. I think it really starts at about 8:30, and he's going to run it till about 4:15. Probably do a market wrap up. Not positive on that. Don't quote me on that, but he's going to be teaching a lot of his, let me just say, flagship trading strategies. All right, you're going to be available to. He's going to be available to ask questions. You can ask him about certain stocks, ask him about certain positions, whatever you want to do. All right, he's going to be there for you. All right, from 8:30 till well after close. Now I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video. If you cannot wait for the description, simply take this QR code right here. All right, with your smartphone camera, scan that code. A pop-up should appear, and in that pop-up, if you press that pop-up, that will take you to a registration page. From there, fill out the page. They will email you credentials to get into the room. Now, if you cannot find your credentials, please check your spam folder. Most likely they are in the spam folder if you cannot find your credentials, all right? But there it is. Scan that with the smartphone. If not, look for the description, the registration link in the description of my video. It will be there, all right? That happens today, all right? Don't miss out on it. It is free learning, not free trading, free learning, all right? So it's an opportunity to be a part of the Road to Wealth workshop. All right. Today's September 23rd, 2025, a repeat, okay? Again, thank you everyone for being here. My SPY pivot this morning, 665.10. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Yesterday, SPY, FNGU, GLD, QQQ made new all-time highs. Diamond Dow made an outside day. That's a higher high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. IWM made a lower low and a lower high, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and 10-minute consolidation, kind of moving to the right. It had like a 1-candle downtrend where the 3 EMA was tucked below the 8 EMA, but not enough to really call it a downtrend, so I'm just going to call it 10-minute consolidation. Silver made a new 14-year high. USO, that'd be petroleum crude oil, made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish cross under the 17 EMA. UNG made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. If I'm not mistaken, that USO made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap, not a cross. We'll take a peek at it later. U.S. dollar index, still in a downtrend, closed near the 97.28 area. Hey, we like that, okay? As investors, we like that. Now, the consumer in us, not so much. Weak dollar means, you know what it means. It means we're paying more for the same goods and services we buy every day, okay? So the consumer in us, it sucks. For the investor in us, it's awesome because it opens up new markets around the world. SPY max pain for today, 665, with a put to call ratio of about 1.8 put to each call that expires today at 4:15. The main event this week is going to be GDP data release, and that's going to happen at 8:30 on Thursday. GDP measures the revenue that the United States takes in from other countries into our country. So that will be an important number, okay? And with the weak dollar, it should be pretty good. I got to say, the last one was not bad. I liked it. So we'll see what happens. Like to see up around 3.1, 3.0. Anything over 3 is awesome. 2.9 is not too bad, but I like 3 better, okay? So GDP, we'll be looking for that. That will show if we're taking advantage of this weak dollar and opening up new markets in the world market, all right, around the globe, all right, opening up new markets in foreign countries. In other words, we'll be selling our services, our goods and services to countries around the globe. That would be great, you know. And our president has a big focus on trade. You can tell with all the tariff data that we had in the previous months. He's trying to get trade kind of balanced. I don't think it will ever be balanced, but he's trying to put us in the best position to profit or to capitalize for the future. So we'll see what happens there. All right, good luck to him on that. All right, let's take a look at the markets today. I'm going to start out with SPY, and I'm going to start those up. And let's take a look at, I want a clean chart. Okay, there's a nice clean chart. 10-minute. Okay, so here's our 10-minute consolidation. Okay, right up here at 667. Kind of hit a ceiling up there. All right, there's our consolidation. Okay, if you want to know what we hit up there, let's take a peek over here. Okay, so we had an upper channel line that was hit up there. Okay, you can see it starts from back here. So we hit an upper channel line right there. I think we can go up a little bit further, right up to about here. We'll see what happens today. Again, we're going to have to get over 667 to make that happen. But we did hit an upper channel line right through there. We'll see what happens today. There's 10-minute chart. Okay, consolidation. Not really a downtrend. No longer quite an uptrend either. Okay, so we'll see what happens. On the 2-hour chart, okay, you can see the 3 EMA. Pull up a clean one. You can see the 3 EMA, which is the yellow line. All right, is up over the white line, which is the 8 EMA. Okay, so we got price candles up over the 3 EMA, and we've got a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. We like that. On the daily chart, new all-time high. Let me back way out so you can see this. Okay, new all-time high on the daily chart. So that is that's bullish, and that's in an uptrend. No question about it. Anytime price making a new all-time high, it better be bullish, and it most often will be in an uptrend, unless it's like a one candle rip from the bottom to the top. All right, it's very rare to see that, but it does happen, believe it or not. SPY, okay, so bullish in an uptrend, top of quadrant 4, okay, obviously bullish right there. Okay, so there's SPY. I like, all right, let's look at yesterday, let's look at the 10-minute, okay. I like 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. So what did we trade yesterday? Well, we had a 10-minute uptrend the previous day. That would be Friday, okay, and we were looking for a continuation of that 10-minute uptrend. And we got it. We had another 10-minute uptrend develop over VWAP. That's my favorite. 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, okay, that resides inside of the two-hour uptrend. Want to see the 2-hour uptrend? One more time. There it is. That resides inside that 2-hour uptrend. That also resides inside the daily uptrend. New all-time highs, no question there. Inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. Okay, so that's my favorite. Okay, and why? Because I've got all of the larger time frames helping to support my little 10-minute uptrend. All right, and that makes it easy for me to trade that. So you can see those 10-minute uptrends tend to go further. They last longer. Now, I'm not afraid of trading a 5-minute uptrend, but bear in mind, you see when the 3 crosses the 8, that trend is done, okay? That trend is done. You can see how many, he had like 3 5-minute uptrends in here. Again, I'm not afraid of trading the 5-minute, and I'm not against it, okay? I just happen to like, this is my favorite, the 10-minute, because it seems to last a little bit longer. Notice the 3 EMA never crosses the 8 EMA, so you're still in it. Never crosses right here, so you're still in it. So they tend to go a little further and a little farther. If you had the 5, you can see obviously we have a cross here that kills the end. That's the end of the trade. Okay, so you'd have to get out, and then you'd have to re-enter again up here. All right, so another one, you have to get out, but then you have the opportunity to get back in up here. Okay, in the 10, you don't have to get out. You can just hang on. All you got to do is hang on. As long as that 10-minute trend is working and stays intact, you can still continue to trade this 10-minute uptrend all the way up. So from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. So at the beginning of the day, I said I was looking for a 10-minute uptrend, a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend. And we had one that manifested in the pre-market, and all we needed was a green candle, simple green candle that broke the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. And it happened to be this candle right here. And we bought the 10-minute uptrend, and we did not have to exit this 10-minute uptrend until the end of the day, right there. Right there. We held that almost to the end of day, right there. So there's SPY on the 10-minute uptrend. What am I looking for today? Well, a continuation of the same uptrend, okay? Probably going to need to break over 667. Not sure we can do it. We'll see what happens. We are leaning on it. So the good news is price action leaning on it, okay? And you can see here's the line up there that we need to bust over. Okay, we're not drifting far from it. We're actually consolidating right underneath it. In other words, we're grinding away at that overhead supply up there that wants to be the resistance that's stopping price from moving higher. Okay, so you can see this is a bullish move. Whenever you see price consolidate at the highs, that's bullish up there. So here's the game plan for today on SPY. We'll see how it goes. We have a green erases red entry over 664. That should be 667.25. Don't know what happened there. Okay, so price got green erases red over 667.25. Okay, we have red races green underneath 663.30. And then the SPY pivot is 665.10. So above that, I'm a bull. Below that, I'm a bear. All right. Now, I'm not against trading 10-minute uptrends that may manifest down here. Okay. Doesn't mean I can only trade a 10-minute uptrend if I have green erases red. All right. I'm looking for a 10-minute uptrend, preferably over VWAP. Preferably that breaks a bullish rubber band candle, a bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, that rubber band candle is from the point of interest, which is normally VWAP most of the time. You get a big spike candle that runs right through VWAP. All right, and then there's a free floating candle after that spike candle that seems to surpass the spike candle. All right, that would be the bullish rubber band candle. Okay, because it'd be up over VWAP, that would be bullish. If it's under it, it's going to be bearish. Okay, so price action. Looking for price action to have more upside today. We'll see what happens. Got nice consolidation up here. Again, red erases green, 663.30 below. 663.30 is a red erases green entry, and a green erases red over 667.25 with a pivot of 665.10 above it. I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. Now I like on both QQQ and SPY. I like 3 days and 10 days till expiration Friday options. I like the Friday options. They have more open interest, because more open interest means higher liquidity. I want to be able to get in and I want to be able to get out. I don't want to pay more than a penny between the two as far as bid and ask. Now, I like them on the multiple of 5. They tend to have more open interest on the multiple of 5. I'm not against trading the ones in between, but I seem to like the ones on the multiple of 5. They tend to have more liquidity, more open interest. I like strikes that are $2 to $15 out of the money. All right, they tend to be a little bit cheaper. All right, if you look at an in-the-money option that happens to be, let's say, 1 DTE or 0 DTE, you're going to find you're going to be paying close to, I don't know, $2, $3 a share for those contracts. All right, that winds up being quite a bit of capital to lay out just to get into a trade. So for that reason, I like the out-of-the-money contracts. All right, they tend to be a little bit less. I like to take on a little bit less risk. I'm not going to get the performance that I would from an in-the-money contract. Okay, in-the-money contracts tend to have a higher performance, and if you look at the delta, it's usually like somewhere up over 70, 75 on those, and you'll get a higher performance. But with performance, it's going to cost you. Okay, so they're going to have you lay out more capital to be in those in-the-money options. Preferably, for me, when I'm starting a small account, I like to trade the out of the money. Okay, less risk. All right, they're cheaper. All right, and I will give up some of that performance in order to have less risk, and that's what it's all about. When you're a day trader or any kind of trader, okay, you're always going to be managing risk. For me, less risk is important. All right, so that's why I like the out of the money contracts. Again, I'm not opposed to trading the in the money contracts. Okay, it's just my preference as a beginner. And I've got a lot of new beginners in the room sometimes, and I'd rather see them take on less risk than more risk trading an in the money contract. Okay, so there's SPY on the 10-minute. There's our 10-minute game plan. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. All right, and QQQ's got a game plan as well. Let's slide this over a little bit right here. Try it. Come on, move. Get going. There you go. All right, again, I like the same options. All right, I like the 3 days and the 10 days till expiration Friday options. Again, Fridays tend to have more open interest. I got a green erases red entry over 602.90. I got a red erases green entry underneath 597.70. Pivot's going to be 600.60. Okay, above that I'm a bull, below that I'm a bear. Let's look at the 10-minute. Let's zoom in. All right, on the 10-minute yesterday, and you can see, all right, we had not quite a downtrend, more of a consolidation move over to the right up there. Not quite a downtrend, but definitely not an uptrend right there. So I'm calling that consolidation on QQQ 10-minute into the close. And look at price action. Hold these highs up here in the post-market and the pre-market and a re-challenge of those highs. Not just once, but twice right here. And looking like they're going to go attack it one more time here. Okay, so there's QQQ on the 10-minute. Let's take a look at the 2-hour. You can see on the 2-hour, you can see price action. This is the yellow 3 EMA. Again, up over the white EMA. So we've got a 2-hour uptrend into the close right there. Okay, so again, I'll be looking for that 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that resides, whether it's QQQ or SPY, inside that 2-hour uptrend. We have a nice 2-hour uptrend. I like the way price is grinding away at the top. I like the way price is consolidating right underneath that that resistance area at 602.90. Okay, so above that, that's a green erases red entry up there. Okay, so what do I like? Here it is. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like them when they're peeling up and away from VWAP. In other words, you see the separation. All right, let's take a look at the 10-minute. Okay, see the separation right here. This is yesterday's candle, yesterday's price action right through here. See the separation of the trend? The trend is the 3 and the 8 and the price candles. Okay, see the separation away from the brown line, which is VWAP. See the separation? Okay, that's what I like. That's where we make a lot of money, when we get that separation from VWAP. All right, that's what I like. I like 10-minute downtrends when I see them moving down, down, and away from VWAP. Again, you want to see that separation from VWAP and the price action candles and the trend, which happens to be the three underneath the EMA moving down, down, and away from VWAP. Okay, so there's QQQ. Let's pick it up on the daily chart. Let's pick up a clean chart right here. All right, you can see QQQ yesterday. This would be yesterday's candle. New all-time high. Yes, that's bullish and in an uptrend. FNGU, we follow FNGU. It's got 10 of the most heavily weighted stocks inside the QQQ and SPY. And because we pretty much only trade QQQ and SPY options, it's a good idea to keep an eye on the FNGU. When those 10 heavyweights move as a pack, they can drag this index right along with it. All right, so if they move higher, chances are the indexes are going to move higher. And I'm speaking about QQQ and SPY. All right, so price action for FNGU yesterday was a new all-time high. All right, that is up at the top of quadrant 4. I'll zoom out so you can see it. So that's bullish. All right, and in an uptrend. Okay, nothing's falling apart. Markets are still bullish. All right, don't get in front of them. It is not time to short them. All right, this is bullish, both SPY and QQQ. We are hitting a ceiling on that upper channel line. We'll see what happens. It hasn't let us through, but price is not failing yet. Okay, so there's FNGU. It might be popular for price to pull back, pick up a little spinach, and then take another running stab at it from a higher low. That's what we'd be looking for. There's FNGU, that's bullish and in an uptrend. IWM. All right, IWM, this would be yesterday's candle. This green one, lower high, lower low. Notice, closing over the bullish trap, over the rising 17. That's the green dots. The top of quadrant 4, that is bullish and in an uptrend. So of the fabulous 5, okay, the Fab 5, 4 so far are up at the top of quadrant 4, bullish and in uptrends. You can see IWM, which is the Russell 2000. You get the NASDAQ 100, which happens to be QQQ, okay, bullish and in an uptrend. You got the S&P 500, okay, which happens to be bullish and in an uptrend. And you got the FNGU, which happens to be 10 securities, 10 of the most heavily weighted securities, bullish and in an uptrend. Last one, I think, is Diamond Dow. Okay, this is the Dow Jones 30. All right, that'd be 30 securities in this index. Okay, again, yesterday is an outside day. This would be yesterday's candle. Okay, notice we closed, see the body closed over the 3 EMA up here. Okay, so we had higher high, lower low, but closed over the bullish trap on the daily chart, over the rising, see the 17, that's the green dots again. They could be red, all right, but these are green. That means we're in an uptrend. Okay, so price closing over the rising 17 EMA. Okay, so that's zoom out. We are bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, so no question, the markets are still bullish. Could they turn around today? Yes, they could. All right, but I don't see it happening yet. We'd have to break something in order to get a downtrend going. It's going to take a lot of work to get that downtrend going, so we'll see what happens. Right now, everything's bullish. All right, so there's Diamond Dow. All right, evidence will show up with a 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. All right, if things start falling apart, that will be the first sign of possible evidence things are falling apart. So there's Diamond Dow. All right, let's take a look at some commodities. Silver. Silver is up at 40.21 today. Let's see for today's candle. Make sure I got the right one. All right, so that's today's candle, already making a new all-time high. This would be yesterday's candle right here, making a new, not a new all-time high, new 14-year high. So here's a new 14-year high made yesterday on silver. All right, it's the top of quadrant 4. That means it's bullish and in an uptrend. Notice the rising 17 EMA. Let's take a look at GLD. Okay, GLD, this would be yesterday's candle. That's today's candle. So both today and yesterday already, all right, price is making new all-time highs. There's GLD on the daily chart, okay? That's bullish and in an uptrend, okay? GLD, SLV, both of them. We'll go back to SLV, we'll pan back. I'm going to pick it up on the weekly chart. No, actually, I'm going to pick it up on the monthly chart, SLV, so you can see the last time we were up at these highs, okay? So I'm going to put the crosshairs in, and I'm going to pan over, and you can see where the crosshairs touch, and the first one is 2011, all right? So 2011, we're on 2025, all right? So that makes it about, well, that makes it 14 years ago. So that's a new 14-year high right there on silver, all right? You can see that on the monthly chart. All right, let's take a look at USO. This would be petroleum crude oil. Okay, they have a habit of moving up and giving it up, all right? So they're just neutral. They're not in the upper third. That would be bullish. They're not in the lower third. That would be bearish. They're in the middle, so they're just neutral. They go up and they give it up. Right now, they're in a downtrend. They made a lower low. Here's a low below the 17. They made a lower low, so that puts them in a downtrend technically. Okay, price action for yesterday was a lower high, a lower low, closing underneath a bearish trap. See the 3 underneath the 8, underneath the bearish trap. Underneath, see the red dots, the 17 EMA. Okay, but over this 3-year high anchored VWAP, that's the pink line right there. Okay, and you can see the quadrant lines. They're on the northern side of the 50-yard line, so that makes them bullish up there, slightly, ever so slightly bullish up there. Okay, so there's USO, neutral, but in a downtrend. Okay, let's take a look at UNG. UNG, price action candle would be the red one right here. That would be a lower high, lower low, closing underneath a bearish trap. Again, underneath, see the red dots, underneath the 17 EMA. Down here near the bottom of quadrant 1, that is an all-time low right there. Possibly making another new all-time low. Okay, price action for UNG, okay, bearish and in a downtrend. Move this over just a little bit more. Okay, so bearish and in a downtrend. We're at the bottom of quadrant 1. See that? We're almost getting ready to test those all-time lows. And you can see we're in a downtrend because we have not made a higher high. Notice right here, we failed to make a higher high. Okay, so we're still in the downtrend. Okay, so there's UNG. Let's take a look at our technicals. Start off with T2101. This is market breadth. This would be like the wind and the sails, the momentum of the current uptrend that we're in. Okay, we're losing participation day by day, day by day. Yesterday, you can see we inked out a lower low. All right, on T2101, losing more and more market participation day by day on this uptrend, okay? That doesn't mean we're turning around, but this is the turnaround zone, okay? We're in it. I don't see any signs of things falling apart. We still have a 2-hour uptrend, and we still have 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. So I don't see signs of falling apart yet. Things still bullish, all right? But we are in the reversal zone right here where price has tend to reverse before, okay? Again, we could probably stay here for a week or two before reversing, all right? So we'll see. So we'll watch, okay, the markets for double tops, triple tops, okay, on the 15-minute chart. Keep an eye on those, all right? Big red igniting candles down. We'll watch for those, okay? If we don't see any of that, all right, I'm gonna remain bullish, all right? I'm gonna let the markets tell me when the reversal may happen, okay? Now, it doesn't have to be a reversal. It could be a changing character, okay? Price could just move over to the right, all right, on SPY and QQQ. They may just consolidate and move over to the right and lean on those highs up there. We'll see. We are in the middle of an AI bubble, I believe, all right? I believe we're in the middle of an AI bubble. Okay, I don't think it's popped yet. I think there's still much more upside. I've yet to see any of that climactic price action occur. So I still believe there's a whole lot more upside to be had, and it may be that we just need a rest before we can experience it. All right, so there's T2101. That's our market breadth. T2122, putting in a lower low yesterday, actually down here in the sell zone, and spending most of the day inside the seller's chop zone. So kind of making a bear flag right here. All right, and notice we're underneath the 50-yard line in the seller's chop zone. Something may be brewing. We'll see what happens. Again, price action will dictate what's going on. So we watch price. T2122, spending the day, making a lower low, little micro, and then you can see right here, little higher lows building up through here. So you can see price action, spending the day in the seller's chop zone. Preferably, I like it when it's in the buy zone. That's the best for me. That's why I like it. In the overbought zone, I like it up there too, but not too high. Okay, I like it in there, but up around 99 and 100, they tends to reverse the following day if it ever gets up around 99 to 100 in the overbought zone. All right, so there's T2122. T2123, consolidating up here at the highs and still up over the 200 SMA. On the 15-minute chart, we are in a downtrend because we made some lower lows, okay? But we are still bullish, and we are holding the higher ground. That is a bullish environment, okay? And we're still up over the 200 SMA, okay? So maybe this uptrend is coming to a close. Not sure. We're still bullish so far. On the 3-bar chart, same product. Again, you can see price action holding the higher grounds at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish, and then an uptrend. Okay, this was the prior all-time high. All right, this is the new all-time high. Okay, this is brought to you by inflation. Okay, because inflation makes all the goods and services more expensive. When they're more expensive, what happens? More revenue comes into those companies. When more revenue comes in and management's got their act together, all right, that means more profits on the bottom line. So more earnings per share makes that company more valuable, and hence all of these securities are now getting higher price points for them, and that's how you reach new market highs as we are in T2123. Okay, inflation, it sucks for the consumer, but for the investor in us, this is what happens when inflation occurs. Okay, those companies are taking in more revenue than what they did yesterday, okay, or what they did 12 months ago. And when they're taking in more revenue, it looks like growth. So when the companies start growing their revenue or their earnings per share, it makes them more valuable. And that's what happens when all the companies are growing. All right, you get new market highs. And this is what you're experiencing right now. All right, is that inflation, all right, that's higher earnings or increased earnings from 12 months, 24 months, 36 months ago, is more earnings per share. Okay, FNGU, bullish price action, consolidating up here at the highs. That's bullish up there. Notice the prior days, we're up over that. That's bullish. We're up over the 200 SMA. Remember, FNGU on the daily chart printed a new all-time high. So we're bullish up here on FNGU, up over the 200 SMA. Okay, so let's take a look at the economic data. And we'll start off with U.S. dollar index. Okay, this is the dollar index, and you can see it's in a bear flag. Okay, I'm going to draw the line in here. It'll tell me it's not going to work. Okay, so we're moving down. See how price moves down and then over to the right. Okay, so that's a bear flag. Okay, so we closed yesterday, and we closed underneath, and notice this bear flag is underneath. This would be major support. Okay, so we broke major support. Okay, that makes a changing character of the US dollar when we break major support. We came down through, we tested it right here. We failed to hold the higher ground. Okay, so now this becomes minor resistance underneath. So we're got ourselves into a bear flag where price is down and moving to the right down here at these lows. These are 3-year lows. I'm going to zoom out here after I clear the board. All right, and let's zoom out so you can see the last time we were down here at 97.20 something. Okay, was way back in. Okay, you can see right here in March of 2022. So these are 3-year lows you're experiencing right now. Okay, so price action in a bear flag that is moving down and over to the right. Okay, maybe this might have been a failed breakdown. They may run back and test the highs. We closed yesterday right around here, around 97.32, 97.28 area, right there. That's the body of that red candle, all right, the lower part. That's where we closed yesterday. It's buy max pain for today, 665. That's for the puts and calls that expire today. Okay, 665 is max pain. Put to call ratio of about 1.8 puts for each call that expires today. Okay, a little bit of a put squeeze on the table. Earnings reports. Nothing really well, let's go on to Tuesday. Micron Technologies, 182 billion. Not a big market mover. Definitely help out the tech sector and the semiconductors. Price action for that, not price action. Earnings for that are released tonight. All right, after the close, 182 billion right there. On Wednesday, familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets. Thursday, Costco is going to report after the close, 422 billion. That's quite a bit. It's almost, it's getting close to $500 billion. It's pretty respectable. Definitely help out the retail sector, but not really a market mover right there. Okay, we'll see what happens. Jabil, we like to watch Jabil for technology, see what's going on there. Okay, but Costco's going to report in the evening. Don't forget Thursday morning, 8:30. We're going to have GDP. I'm getting to that next. Friday, more familiar names, nothing that's going to be market moving. And then here's the economic calendar for today. What do we have? PMI composite flash, 945. And then Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index at 10. And I guess Mr. Powell's on the docket today to speak at 12:35. We'll see what happens with that. All right, MBA mortgage applications tomorrow at 7 o'clock. New home sales at 10. Petroleum report 10:30. And then Thursday, the main event, we're going to get durable goods orders at 8:30. The main event is GDP at 8:30. International trading goods and services, 8:30. Jobless claims, 8:30. Corporate profits, 8:30. Retail inventories, 8:30. Wholesale inventories, 8:30. And then existing home sales at 10. And a natural gas report at 10:30. We'll visit Friday when we get closer. All right, that's it for me for today. All right, I'll see you guys all in about 40 minutes. All right, and we'll open up the markets and record it again.